All right, so this is a quick monologue. I just kind of want to talk about a few things, keying in on some things that have been coming into my frame of existence recently. I want to touch on four key points, right? I want to talk about backers, attackers, distractors, and retractors. I said backers, attackers, distractors, and retractors. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna go into what all that means in a minute. But being in the business of spirituality, a lot of times you think everybody's got your back. You feel like in this business, when you're spreading nothing but good vibes, that's what you're gonna get back. That doesn't necessarily always happen. It's actually kind of sad, but it doesn't happen enough, honestly. But we do get a lot of amazing supporters, people who um, love what we do, love how we do it, and just love to be around us. People who really are healed, people who are in the process of healing, people who are on their spiritual journey, and they just want to be um, helped, guided, motivated by the things you do. So that is not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about those other ones. So the backers, when I talk about backers, those are people who got your back, the people who are there for you when you may feel like this road is a little bit too tough. They're like, you know what, I got you. Let me give you some motivation. Let me back you up. The people who show up to the events, the people who support you, the people who come through when you need somebody to come through. Those are your backers. Those are the people who um, those are the people who you want around. Um, it's far too often though that um, those individuals don't necessarily manifest when you want them to, but at the end of the day, your backers are going to be there. They're going to manifest themselves when it's time for them to. As long as you're doing the work, you're putting out the good energy, it's going to come back to you. A lot of times in the form of backers. So that's a beautiful thing. But let's talk about these attackers. Attackers, those are people who see what you got and maybe they want it for themselves. They want to do something like what you're doing, but instead of um, collaborating or being a backer, they want to send attacks your way. Maybe it's some false information they got. Maybe it is they just have a misconstrued notion about the way you operate and they think that it's not good, so they want to attack you. Maybe they're just some haters. Haters are everywhere. Remember that haters are everywhere. An old head told me a long time ago, and I've said this to numerous people before. An old head told me a long time ago, you can lay in the grass with snakes all day as long as you know that it's snakes in the grass, right? I didn't know what it mean initially, but I do now. A lot of times the attackers will attack you and then they'll be right in your face, acting like ain't nothing happening, especially in the spiritual game, man. Um, we're in a spiritual war, and a lot of times people are not playing fair. That's why you got to stay protected. You got to stay prayed up. You got to stay with the ancestor veneration. You know, you got to stay prepared because people are going to come at you. Those are those attackers. Now, let me talk about the distractors. The distractors are those individuals who they try to throw you off your game, right? And distractors doesn't always have to come in the form of an individual or a person. Distractor could be something that is thrown in your way, and then you spend all your time and your energy focusing on that distraction. It takes you away from your end goal. Since we've been doing this, we've been hit with many distractions. Some of them we know exactly where they're coming from. Some of them's like, what the fuck? Like, why? Somebody trying to throw us off because this ain't it. Um, so you got to watch out for the distractors. The distractors will take you off your square. That's why you have to have clear goals. You got to have clear goals and you got to know what you're doing. That's why as we're entering into the new year, goal setting is important. It was a in the Safe House today. It was a um, vision board workshop that was held. I don't think enough people attended it because you have to have your vision. Your vision needs to be clear so that you can stay on focus when those distractions come into play. So we talked about some backers, attackers. Ooh, the attackers they be scheming, they be sending spiritual attacks, they be doing work on you sometimes, man. You got to stay protected. Got to stay protected from those attackers, right? We talked about the distractors. Let's talk about retractors. What's a retractor? Kool Joe, what's a retractor? Like a retractable lightsaber or something? Nah, man. So the medical term for retractor is an instrument, a surgical instrument used to hold open an incision or wound while the surgeon works. So a retractor holds open the wound while the surgeon works, right? So when I talk about retractors, I talk about those parasites, those engineered um, devices that hold open that wound while the attackers and the distractors are going to work. Sometimes the retractor could be in your own mental, right? If you're focusing on the attacks coming at you, if you're focusing on the distractions, if you're focusing on the adversity, that's holding open that wound so that they can work on it, so that they can get in you. So retractor from a surgical aspect, if you're healing somebody, is good, right? Because you want to get into um, the body so that you can fix it, right? But we're talking about from a standpoint of a person trying to protect themselves and holding that open so that the parasites can get in. We don't need no retractor. So sometimes you have to ground yourself. Sometimes you have to take a step back from the situation and focus back on that goal that you have set for yourself so that the retractor isn't you. Sometimes you have to take a step back and look around you. Who's in your circle? Who's that retractor? Who's that person that's holding the door open? Holding the door open while the snake's sneaking in. Who is that retractor in your circle? Hopefully you don't have none, but if you do, you need to evaluate what's going on, who you rolling with, and get them folks out of your square, out of your circle, man, because we had spiritual warfare. Some people they be too interested in cutting other people down. I'm not like that. I ain't about that. It's weird to me. It's weird when these folks talking about all this negativity and this and that. Like, it's weird to me, man. I'm positive. I'm loving light. I might be dressing all black when you see me, but that's just because that's how I roll. That's where I'm from. Next year I'm gonna be in all white. Watch the elevation. Be careful. Just know what you're looking at. Is it an attacker, a distractor, a retractor, or is it a backer? Kool Joe out.